And what Jimmy Carter is an example of is just simple decency. Simple decency. And I think that's what the rest of the world looks to America for.
People around the world are pausing to mourn former President Jimmy Carter. There's been an outpouring of tributes ever since we first learned of his death on Sunday afternoon. And tonight we have new details about how the country is planning to honor him. Services begin on January 4th in his home state of Georgia. His body will then travel to Washington, D.C. and lie in state at the U.S. Capitol on January 8th. His official state funeral will then be held the following day, January 9th. President Biden is expected to deliver the eulogy for Carter. The former president is then expected to be buried in his hometown of Plains, Georgia, next to his late wife, former First Lady Rosalind Carter. The tributes to the former president are pouring in from around the world. Just over the last 24 hours, people have been leaving flowers at the Carter Presidential Center in Atlanta. This morning, there was a moment of silence at the New York Stock Exchange. Traders paused on the floor as a sign of respect. And across the pond, flags are flying at half-staff at 10 Downing Street in London. That is the residence of the British Prime Minister. And flags are also flying at half-staff at state buildings across Massachusetts. That was ordered by Governor Maura Healey. The flags will fly at half-staff through January 28th in tribute to former President Carter. And the former president is also being remembered in Massachusetts for his long association with Habitat for Humanity, as well as the support he gave for the craft brewing industry. Our NBC 10's Mary Marcos joining us live from outside the JFK Library with a personal story from a Boston real estate mogul. And Mary, they met through his work at Habitat for Humanity. What did he tell you?
That's right, Priscilla. You know, Jimmy Carter and his wife were the head of the organization for decades. That real estate mogul was on the board for some of that time, and how they met is a story in and of itself.
I went to go to the bathroom, and there were urinals. It was a very simple place. And I looked to my right, and there's Jimmy Carter next to me.
It was the last place Bruce Purcell thought he'd meet a United States president.
It was a little bit of a surprise, but I was able to keep my composure.
The former chairman of Habitat for Humanity went to Plains, Georgia for a tour of Jimmy Carter's home 16 years ago.
He would actually go to places and swing a hammer with everyone else.
A human rights activist who rebuilt homes for more than 30 years, Carter is best known for an historic peace accord between Israel and Egypt that's still in place today.
He handed out and signed his book that he wrote about his thoughts on where the Middle East should go.
Perhaps a lesser-known accomplishment, Carter is credited with cutting the red tape for the craft beer industry. The CEO of Massachusetts-based Trillium Brewing says without President Carter's foresight to legalize home brewing in 1978, Trillium and thousands of other independent craft breweries across the nation may not have existed.
No, his brother Billy was created Billy Beer.
Dozens of people stopped by the JFK Library Monday to pay their respects.
I'm so sad. It was a sudden shock when I heard it yesterday.
Showing the indelible mark Carter left on the country and on the Boston real estate mogul he met in the bathroom.
It really was a memorable experience.
Now, in addition to the funeral in Washington on January 9th, President Joe Biden has declared it a national day of mourning. Reporting outside JFK Library, Mary Marcos, NBC 10 Boston.
What an interesting story of how they met. Mary, thank you.